I think we can save this with the magic of video editing.
Yeah. Hello everyone, my name is Kallum and I'm joined by 3 people today and we are going to be talking about stuff because that's what this is, the name of which you'll find out after we do.
Yes, this is the kind of plan we've got going on here.
We couldn't think of anything clever.
We just did a thing.
We did,
We'll sort it out later.
That's the way we roll.
It really
We
is.
start as we intend to continue.
Yeah.
Woefully incompetent.
Yeah, but I'll tell you what wasn't woefully You know what? It'd be really great if I could talk.
Isn't that like your entire career path? Is
it is. My entire career path is talking. It's also acting and making films. Talking of films.
So who are we first? You're Kallum.
Oh yeah,
let's
the only person who's important. I mean, okay. So why don't we all introduce ourselves and I'll find a go. I've been so excited to do the segue that I forgot that anyone else is on the show. So we'll go from right to left.
Okay.
I mean, yeah, right to left from our perspective, not the camera perspective. So it's actually going left to right.
Very good.
We really shouldn't have identified directions, should we? Okay, so I'm Daniel. I present a web series called Space Doc that you might have heard of if I've shared this around. Yeah. And before I started that, I founded the Wrexham Glyndwr Science Fiction Society, which is these wonderful chaps. And we're now going to be talking about some films. I borrowed them from the earth like Urukai.
Exactly.
So I'm Alistair. I do stuff with Dan sometimes. I'm vice president of the Sci-Fi Society. And people keep me around, I guess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's why I'm here.
I've already said I'm Kallum. I'm the president of the Sci-Fi Society. I also do other things, but I can't talk about them maybe yet because Dan hasn't given me permission.
Oh, good. That definitely warranted mentioning for...
That doesn't mean that Dan is doing everything. Dan, you did Jacob.
I'm Jacob. You just said my name.
This is Jacob, and he's also here.
Yeah, I'm also here. I'm part of the Sci-Fi Society, but honestly, I can't remember what my actual
you're like communications officer.
Neither of you are down.
Social media.
No, we just made up titles for things.
No, not anymore.
Really?
Yeah.
You're a social media guy, right?
I'm social media. I'm basically the secretary.
I'm down as advisor and dodger of responsibilities.
Yeah, the whole thing's really just an excuse to have like a chat, a Facebook chat for us to organise stuff on.
We need to put Pete in that chat.
No, we don't.
Why not?
It's Pete in it.
You've just recorded that.
Yeah,
you mean person.
Cut that out.
No, it's fine. Pete knows how he feels. It's not like Pete.
Don't listen to them, Pete.
Okay.
Speaking of...
So, where we
going to talk about Annihilation?
Yes, we watched Annihilation, which is the new film by that director that did Ex Machina.
These 3 did. I didn't.
Alex Garland.
Jacob's not seen it.
Alex Garland, who wrote Dread and 28 Days Later.
Right.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then he wrote and directed Ex Machina.
Yep.
He also maybe directed half of Dread. It's weird. There's been some news.
Yeah, I saw something about that. Carl Urban.
Carl Urban said, the director was a maniac, so Alex Garland basically directed the whole thing.
Dread looks like a film that you need a maniac to direct.
Yeah.
Damn good movie.
Yeah.
Speaking of another damn good movie, Annihilation.
You're really on with these segues, man. Like 4 of them in 10 seconds.
I'd see how many segues I can sit into, like, so many minutes. So it's Annihilation. It's been released on Netflix.
Much to your chagrin.
I think I have reasonable reasons to not want to watch films on Netflix.
Netflix are having a big
Netflix?
thing. Well, they're taking a lot of films that would have had cinema releases and putting them on small screen.
Yeah,
I'm quite behind that, I have to say. I think
converse of that, there are lots of films which are on Netflix that wouldn't have been seen the light of day in any case.
I'd like it with films like this if they did like a simultaneous release.
Yeah.
So like they released it on Netflix at the same time as the cinema release.
Also, I can't help but wonder if maybe this film is alive because of streaming. Because this kind of cerebral movie does not do well in cinemas.
The fact that Netflix exists, and there's a bit of a theme across things you see on Netflix, is that you get this impression that creators get a lot more freedom to do what they want to do on it.
I won't do it in this podcast, but that may not be as true as you'd like to believe it is.
Well,
Netflix
like I said, that's the impression you
The
get.
impression. my other thing with Netflix is a lot of times it's not stuff they've made, it's stuff that they've bought and then go, oh, we can slap Netflix original. So you think Netflix are making better shows than they actually are.
Yeah, like The Expanse is billed as a Netflix original series, and that's not what it is. It's a sci-fi original series.
It's like by the publishing rights or something, right?
Yeah.
Well, The Expanse is owned by Netflix in every country other than the US. In the US, In the US, it's broadcast on the Sci-Fi Channel. Everywhere else, it's broadcast on Netflix.
Oh, right, okay.
Same here with Annihilation. Annihilation was...
Because Eckhart's Ladder went to see Annihilation in cinemas in Canada, because they showed it in cinemas in Canada.
Yep.
Did they not show it in the US?
They showed it in the US, but no one wanted to see it, because US people are dumb.
Right, okay.
Apologies to potentially a large percentage of our audience.
Yeah.
Tell me in the comments how wrong I am, and try to spell it properly.
Great,
I'm
anyway.
the heel. That's my job. Anyway, so this movie Annihilation, it stars Natalie Portman
And Oscar Isaac.
Oscar Isaac is kind of in it a little
And
bit.
Benedict Wong is in it a bit.
Benedict Wong's in it a little bit. Whoever played Valkyrie in that silly movie?
Tessa Thompson.
Tessa Thompson. I couldn't recognise the other female actors.
No, but they were all very good.
Strong female cast.
Yep.
If that's something that you're looking for in a movie. Strong cast in general.
Excellent cast overall, I thought.
The only problem I really had with it was sometimes Natalie Portman thing of, I'm going to deliver my line like this. Instead of saying, where's my husband? Sorry, instead of going, where's my husband? Like, she cares. She goes, where's my husband? That's what Natalie Portman does in all performance.
Too long spent as Queen of Naboo.
Give me 3 other examples where that's the case.
Well, I mean, they're all going to be from the prequels, aren't they? Let's be
Oh,
honest.
she did other stuff. She was in...
Black Swan.
Yeah.
Black Swan's
She was
quite-
great in Black Swan.
There are moments in that movie where she kind of just fades off.
Yeah, but that's the thing. That's kind of
That's kind of the point of the movie, yeah.
If I'm looking at the camera now,
Yeah.
Natalie Portman, she likes to either look up there, down there, down there, down there, or slightly off the person she's talking to. And if you watch movies a lot,
I've actually heard that that's a trick that you're supposed to do when you're supposed to be kind of like
Contemplative.
drug-induced
Yeah.
or like intoxicated, whatever else. You're not supposed to like make direct eye contact, but instead like look slightly above or to the side of them.
Around.
She does play like messed up characters quite a lot, Natalie Portman.
Yeah, she does. Padme.
Yeah.
that's true. That is true, guys.
Well, even Padme eventually gets pretty emotionally screwed up.
Oh,
Like, they
everyone
all
gets screwed up.
They
Are
all
you kidding me?
She was in V for Vendetta. It was really good in that. With,
She's
Good
great
film.
from there.
Yeah.
That's a film I forgot about. Yeah, it's a good second outing for Tessa Thompson. She's barely in it.
has she not been in anything before Ragnarok?
Who was Tessa Thompson?
She was the medic.
Valkyrie.
Oh, was she the
Oh, she was the one that was paramedic, right?
Yeah.
No,
yeah.
hang on. Let me get this right. She was the physicist.
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 Yeah.
I thought she was a paramedic.
No,
the one who.
the one who's like second to last to disappear.
Yeah.
She just walks off into the woods.
Oh, she was in...
By the way,
Ragnarok.
we will be spoiling this film.
Valkyrie.
Yeah, we will be spoiling this film a lot.
Don't watch this if you haven't seen Annihilation.
Yeah.
Annihilation is a film that you should go into with absolutely no prior experience
Oh,
or anything
man,
about it.
We're ruining the experience for Jacob because Jacob hasn't seen the film, so we're going to ruin the entire experience
Sorry.
for Jacob.
We can use him as like as a means to explain parts of the movie. I
Yeah,
guess.
I'm just going to go on asking a lot of questions.
Yeah.
So Annihilation is one of those sort of 2001 type movies where everybody's going to come out of it with a different interpretation of the themes and the conclusions.
Or the wrong one.
So do you mean it's sort of like Ex Machina then? Because everyone came out of Ex Machina with a bit of a different interpretation on it.
I think that's great.
Yeah.
It's such a good sign of a movie.
Discord. Post-movie Discord is good.
Yeah.
We've already mentioned Black Swan, which was an Aronofsky movie, and Aronofsky does a very similar thing where a lot of his films you can interpret in different ways.
Yeah.
This is a less artsy version of Aronofsky and sci-fi. Apart from Aronofsky did make a sci-fi movie. I'll show that someday. It's really good.
What was it?
Pi.
All right.
Is it
It's a
mathematical pie
It's a
or
film about
actual
a guy
pie?
who basically uncovers God in maths
Oh.
and goes insane and then drills his head with a drill. It's pretty great.
So fun for the whole family.
Anyway, back to Annihilation. I guess the best way to go through it is kind of start from the start and go.
Yeah, I'll let you take the helm on this one, man.
Yeah. So we open the film on just Natalie Portman explaining the entire theme of the movie.
Oh,
Yeah, that's true, actually.
Which is someone on this
Although
channel
that-
managed to miss.
that's not enormously evident at the time.
Apart from the fact we see the visual the visual of.
Wait, what was the first
cells
scene?
multiply. The
It's
first
when
scene
she's
is
explaining
cells.
cell.
Is that the
division.
first scene? I thought there was something before that.
Yeah, it's cells.
Is there anything else before that?
Yourself?
No, we start with Benedict Wong in the decontamination lab.
Right, yeah.
Which was really interesting because they just tell you who's going to die and stuff, like right at the start. Like because it's like in medias res, and we've got this post-mission debriefing thing, and she just literally lists off everyone who dies and all this before you even meet any of these characters.
Yeah.
Which is super interesting. There's a lot of scenes where the debriefing with Benedict Wong. Exposits something like it told you that the Ventress had cancer. It just sort of like spurted it out in a random scene. And you're like, oh, okay. And it's like there were lots of little clever uses of the thing like that.
So for your clarification.
So basically, like, as soon as you meet a character, you know whether or not they're doomed immediately.
Kind of, yeah.
Well,
But if you photographically remembered the first scene, I mean, I didn't remember the names.
So the opening scene, it has a bunch of people standing outside a glass room in blue, like, medical suits, and then the people standing in the room have got, like, hazmat suits on.
Okay.
And Natalie Portman sat on the chair. If you've seen the trailer, unfortunately, it does kind of give away a lot. I've seen the trailer. It kind of gives away quite a bit of the movie.
As most trailers these days do.
You see this a lot in the trailer. And he's kind of asking what happened. And it's kind of vague in what they're asking, but she does name all the people who died.
Yeah.
Is this one of those films that starts at the end?
No.
Kind of.
Kind of.
It starts,
the end
like,
is
very,
actually
very
slightly
near the end.
after the... you guys watched Atomic Blonde, didn't you?
Yeah.
You know the way Atomic Blonde was framed as a debriefing? And, then at the end of it, it went beyond the debriefing to the thing with the Russians. It's very much like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
But better, because Atomic Blonde lasts like 10 minutes within the film.
Yeah, it was like a twist within a twist within a twist.
Well, the thing about that one is, side note, it's like, because it's based on a graphic novel, I read what the graphic novel's ending is, and it's not the same ending. The ending in the graphic novel is she's just a Russian and not an American. Also, yeah, because we couldn't have her be British. No, she has to be an American.
Great film, though. I really liked Atomic Blonde. I thought it was a good
It's
film.
a really good fight scene, but unfortunately the fight scene ends with like the most anticlimactic. So you know the one-shot fight scene, which is like a...
In the staircase.
Yeah. And then there's the car chase, but the car chase ends before, like the one shot ends before it should have, because it should have ended with them landing in the ocean, but instead there's an explosion they wanted to show off, so they ruined the entire aesthetic of like this really long fight scene just for one explosion. It's like Michael Bay stumbled on set and went, oh, boom, boom, and then it ruins the entire scene. I'm like,
Right, Annihilation.
Yeah, back to Annihilation. So yeah, then we follow up with the scene which is explaining Cell Division to a class.
Which, as it turns out, is the central allegory of the whole movie.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one of those times where they're explaining to medical students in a university something really basic that, like...
I don't know, man.
I was gonna say, as a science student at a university...
They do that.
They do
that.
Okay.
I literally in my class today had isotopes explained to me. Isotopes. That's something you learn in secondary school. I'm a second-year chemistry student.
Okay, never mind.
So Natalie Portman's character is a biologist who studies cancer cells. Mm-hmm. And
I think it's more specifically just Cell Division.
I said
oh, right,
Yeah.
No, it's... What's her name?
Lana.
Lana, there we go.
I don't know.
Lena.
Lena.
Lilo.
Right.
We'll get there eventually.
Lilo.
It's Lilo and Stitch.
So yeah, Lilo and Stitch.
But yeah, the whole idea of cell division and that kind of thing is the central premise of the film, because basically an asteroid has hit Earth that has, we discover, well, it's created a region called the Shimmer, which reminded me of the Zone from Stalker.
Yeah.
And it's
slowly growing.
Yeah, it's a slowly growing kind of exclusion zone where crazy alien stuff is going down.
But no one knows what it is.
Yeah, every team that's been sent in has died, and then presumably died but not returned.
Okay, is it like a Roman legion situation where it's like they send one legion in? And the legion doesn't return, so they just send another legion to find that first.
We don't know how many teams they'd sent before
Yeah,
it's a bit unclear.
Kind of unclear how many times
They established that they sent in like drones and other things, but nothing manages to come out.
The lady who says this, she's been there from the start, says she's been about 2 years.
So
yes, because it's...
Also, there was a previous site that they used to operate out of that has now been consumed by the Zone.
Yeah,
so obviously they've been doing it for a while.
Yeah. One thing I wondered about that was they send in teams, right?
Yeah.
They send in drones, whatever else. I'm sure they can't get radio contact out because of the fractal or whatever else. But
why don't they just step in and step out again?
Well, as soon as they step in, there's a time lapse.
With a big rope.
Yeah.
Just send them in and pull them out and be like, what's going on? What happened?
Or like instead of having a wireless thing, have the video feed through a cable.
That's actually not bad either.
Well, it still disrupts electronics that send signals, which it would do.
Also, it seems to have an effect because when the team that we meet through a few scenes, because basically we're kind of skipping over the fact that when Natalie Portman's character gets home, her husband, who's been gone for a year,
presumed killed in action,
dead in action because he's a soldier.
Yeah.
She gets home and he's there. Well, or we kind of get her going around the house. Did you notice that her house?
It was later on in the Shimmer,
It was in the.
Oh, I saw you get really excited at one point in the movie when she goes in and you were like...
I was like, oh, yes.
I was like, there's something important happening here, but I don't know what it is.
The house was the exact same design as the house that she has in
That's your first inkling that the Shimmer is refracting memories as well as physical objects.
Oh.
Yeah.
I didn't get that.
Yeah.
But anyway, so her husband doesn't remember anything.
Yeah.
She tries to ask him, like, oh, where have you been for the last year? Did you have to go on a covert mission? He's like, I don't know, maybe. And it's like,
and he takes a drink of water and he starts dying.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Apparently,
Is he the Wicked Witch of the West?
No, apparently he's in the aliens. It's probably the aliens from Signs. That's what this is.
Oh my God, no.
Alex Garland didn't make this movie, guys. It's actually another
It's a Shyamalan.
That's the twist.
That's the twist.
I mean, the obvious career trajectory for M. Night Shyamalan is for the twist to eventually be that it was secretly an M. Night Shyamalan movie all along.
I mean, he's in Lady of the Lake. He's in that movie a lot.
Like acting?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's in Signs as a character, very briefly.
Is he?
Yeah, he's like a van driver in like one scene.
Great.
He's also happening a lot as an actor. But anyway, yeah. So he stops bleeding and they're in an ambulance. This film is a really good thing of editing scenes you don't need to see.
Right. It gets to the point really fast, this movie.
Yeah. So like even when there's scenes of people walking, it's very quick shots, and then like if someone's walking out of a house, it won't show you the entire journey like a Lord of the Rings looking movie. Yeah. It will just go, oh, now they're at the beach.
That's true, actually. He like takes a drink of water and he's bleeding, and the next shot is them in the ambulance.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, you get what happened.
The editing in this movie is excellent.
Yeah.
Basically, it's edited like every vlogger on YouTube. Just jump cut.
Not jump cut.
It's the opposite of Birdemic, where we see the guy drive his car and like pick up a sandwich and refuel his car and like keep going, and there's like this 25-minute sequence of him going to work.
There's a stellar endorsement. It's the opposite of Birdemic.
Yeah.
And then during this like ambulance travel into the hospital, they get attacked by 4 military cars. But there's like SWAT guys coming out going, get out the car.
You know, if you threw a copy of Birdemic into the Shimmer, it would refract it into Annihilation.
Very good.
Or would it just become like Birdemic would just become the cancer of Earth?
Just spreading massive Birdemic DVD across the surface of the Earth.
Anyway, so a bunch of stuff happens.
Yeah, and basically we meet our team because basically we find out he's dying. He went into the Shimmer. He came out. He's the only person to come out. And then the lady in charge is like, yeah, he went in, and now he's back, and now he's dying. And then she kind of explains the Shimmer.
And she says that she's fed up with watching all these teams go in and get killed, so she herself is going to lead a team in, and it's going to be scientists instead of military types.
Yeah, which sounds like a terrible idea if all your military teams didn't make it back.
I also say, was it just military? Like, did they not send like an SG-1 type thing, where it's military and science?
I think it probably was a bit of that, but in the end, they eventually go for just a full-on civilian science team.
So we have a psychologist.
Yes, the team leader is a psychologist.
Then we have a physicist, which is a young, just out of university physicist, played by
Tessa Thompson.
Okay.
We have a biologist who is Natalie Portman's character.
Portman, who's also ex-military.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But also, so she's ex-military, and she doesn't tell anyone until after she's proved that she's ex-military. But she's
one of those reveals.
Yeah, she also doesn't tell the rest of the team.
Oh yeah, that's one of the big stipulations. That she.
The husband of.
Or the wife of the guy.
Everyone knows about the guy that came out, the only guy to come out, and she doesn't tell anyone except what's her name, Ventress.
Ventress, the team leader,
who's already aware of it, that she is married.
But she perhaps foolishly takes a locket with a picture of his face on it into the.
Not the hottest idea ever.
It comes into play later, where for some reason someone looks at it.
Yeah, well, we also have the paramedic character. That's the last team member.
And the paramedic character.
And she was quite a compelling character. Oh, there was Shepard as well. What was her job?
I don't know. There's a paramedic and there's a. I don't know what
was she?
Doesn't matter.
The one whose kid was dead from. She was the red shirt, to be fair.
All the women in this movie were red shirts, but Natalie Portman.
Right.
Because we're told they died at the beginning of the film.
Well, two of them are still ambiguous. So she says, I don't know.
She does say she doesn't know what happened to a couple of the other ones.
Yeah.
Spin-off.
But no, it's kind of answered in the movie.
But anyway, so most of the movie is following these characters moving to the simmer, trying to get to the
lighthouse at the centre of the ship.
which is the impact
the
site.
The film is kind of split into 3 parts. It has 3 different title cards. So
we've got...
they enter the shimmer, and then it cuts title card, the shimmer, which looks... to give you an idea what the shimmer looks like, you ever seen bubbles? Like
I was thinking that. It looks like a giant guy blowing a big bubble out of the earth.
If you took the glowing sea from Fallout 4 and you ramped up the contrast all the way to the top so it was all like glowy and purple, that's the shimmer.
I mean, it makes sense though, because they talk about how everything gets refracted, and that is exactly what refraction is.
Yeah,
in
it's
like
a
raindrops and
prism.
bubbles and whatever.
It's a big prism.
Yeah.
Did you notice as well, they foreshadow it all at the beginning of the movie? Her and her husband are talking to each other, and they've got their hands behind a glass of water, and it's refracted in the water.
Oh,
yes,
wow.
it's excellent. I loved it. I love that bit.
I don't know how you guys pick up on stuff like this, man.
And like the messed up relationship or the failed marriage is hinted at a heck of a lot before the film explains it.
Yeah. Well, one of the major themes of the movie is self-destruction.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people I've seen reviews for this where people come out and they're like, what was the point in the whole subplot with the other guy, the colleague from the university that she had an affair with? And it's like, no, that's crucially important to the themes of the film.
It also explains why Oscar Isaac went in.
Yeah.
It also explains why she acts the way she does.
Yeah.
That you can tell she's unhappy with.
Well, you're left with that implication because they list off like all of the character flaws that all of the other team members have that are the impetus for being there, and they leave her blank.
Yes.
And the obvious implication is, well, clearly she has something like that as well, and then later on you find out what it is.
So all these women who are going in all have something about them that makes them depressive in some way.
Because it's like a suicide mission.
Yeah.
Oh, right. So they literally said it's literally a suicide mission. That says, we're going to send people that don't care if they come back or not.
Yeah.
It's not outright said, but people allude to it a lot.
Yeah.
So,
Well, they have that one scene where we're on the boat, and they say this whole thing's a suicide mission. These people are suicidal. The psychologist replies, like, no one's suicidal. People are only self-destructive.
that's two
Everyone's
scenes you're combining.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're combining the watchtower scene with where the bear
With the boat scene.
and the boat scene,
Right.
which is actually 2 different characters entirely.
But anyway, that was a great scene.
Yeah.
We're talking about being
that combined scene was a great scene.
and how
unfortunately, it's not a real scene.
no one is suicidal. Everyone is self-destructive,
Yes.
and everyone do things that don't benefit them. They take drugs and smoke and drink.
And Natalie Portman's destroyed her stable marriage.
destroy happy marriages.
Seemingly doesn't even know why she's doing it herself.
Yeah.
She just does it because humans, by their very nature, sabotage their own well-being.
Back and forth on how I felt about the scene where she goes, "It's a mistake," because it was so cliche, and I think you didn't need it because you saw the sex scene, which is not much news. He's just some back. It's just back.
It's good back. Anyway.
She kind of looks alien. She looks like she's got I notice how a human body looks, but I forget sometimes that your back's got massive lumps in it.
That's how you find out whether somebody's a
spine,
Cylon.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, oh no, that's the twist of the movie.
Can you imagine if her back just started glowing red?
Natalie Portman's a Cylon. That's the twist. That would be an M. Night Shyamalan twist.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's lots of cool parallels in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, going back to the talking about everyone being self-destructive scene, and she goes, can you explain that you're a psychologist? And she says, well, you should be able to explain this better. You're a biologist. All cells are coded to self-destruct. So there's all these parallels between the human psyche and
Entropy and stuff.
Yeah, and like how cells...
It's a great conversation about aging being a defect in the genetic code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We briefly talked about, I mentioned this in the movie, how
Yeah.
there are some animals that don't have that quality.
Like lobsters.
And naked mole rats.
I think it's alligators. Alligators are the same. Alligators are supposed to be able to live forever because they don't actually age.
Naked mole rats.
It's grow and grow and grow.
One of the main parts of aging is every time your cells divide, your chromosomes, they have caps on top of them that are just redundant DNA. That's what we've evolved to sort of slow the aging process down. Because every time you cells divide, you lose a bit more of that until you start losing actually. But naked mole rats have an enzyme that can repair the caps of their chromosomes, so they don't die from old age.
It's fascinating. I'm so glad we brought a chemist on the show, even though we haven't seen the movie.
Great team saying in Shimmer.
Really not. In case anybody needs some spaceships explaining when we're on there.
Well, when we got into the alien hive, we just said, Dan, you'd go deal with this bit. We'll do the rest.
Go do a video on the inside of the of the lighthouse.
Talk about the dimensions or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, so if I want to explain the shimmer, basically, if you know anything about how like cancer works and how tumors, they're basically, it's not like a virus. It's cell division gone amok. It's like continually.
Well, the idea is, I think when cells divide, they read the genetic coding, and sometimes there's a mistake in that, whereby you get something that comes out incorrect, and that will just continue to divide.
Yeah.
And that's how you get tumors.
Yeah.
It's just
too much of everything. It just keeps making more of itself. And
well, it keeps making incorrect cells.
A lot of tumours don't have that self-destruct thing as well, so they will just
really?
keep growing, and they won't die naturally a lot of the time.
So the shimmer is that, it's planet cancer, the shimmer, basically.
The whole thing is very like analogous, or whatever the word is for, basically.
It's creating loads of, like, I think at one point, do we see two stags, and they, like, walk one out from behind the other or something? And
they're like in sync.
Actually, because they're doing the same movement exactly.
Yeah.
There's also about, like, it kind of, so it's cancer. It's also mutating everything that goes in.
Right.
And it's also copying everything that goes in, sort of, kind of. And it's kind of mixing things together. So
see, the mistake I made with this film was to assume that this alien life form is some kind of hyper-intelligent, malicious entity with a big plan.
I'm actually shocked you went to that entire movie assuming that there was some sort of...
I thought it was like maybe they're trying to... I thought like
intent.
They might be trying to terraform the planet to suit some other life forms... like living conditions or something, but it's not. It's just
weird space rock.
Yeah,
pretty much. Yeah,
it's just a mistake. It's no more evil than a cancer is evil. It's just doing its own like biological thing, and at the detriment of everyone else.
I mean, you could argue that it doesn't kill anything. That it doesn't kill anyone who didn't want to die.
There's an interesting thing, because we have the scene with the bear.
I'm pretty sure the soldiers...
Oh, that's...
No,
okay, so I will say this about the movie. Beside all the plot and theme and whatever else, like visually speaking, it's very disturbing, very upsetting, and it does a great job of conveying what it's supposed to in like the right scenes.
See, when they had the scene with the bear, I thought, because it sort of sidles around and doesn't attack any of them for like 30 seconds, and I thought, hang on a minute, maybe like it wouldn't do anything aggressive if they didn't provoke it, because the wounded paramedic limps back in and fires at it, and then it goes nuts. And then I thought, actually no, because it's already attacked that paramedic unprovoked, and it attacked Shepard unprovoked earlier in the film.
I think it's...
It was a different bear.
Yeah,
well,
sort of. Because when the bear's... She's like...
No, it's the same bear, because it assimilates her voice.
That was different in the sense that it hadn't been guffed up by the person that ate, because like all cells and all things sort of merge into one mess in prison.
Kind of human skull. That's what the weird thing about it was.
But why would it attack the paramedic unprovoked?
The way
it came out with a gun.
It being interpreted, and the way I interpreted it as well was because when Natalie Portman's character's like don't react, it's kind of like it's only attacking the ones who kind of gave up, or the ones who fear it and try to do something about it. So when it attacks the first person, she's the one because she has that conversation where she's like, I'm just as panicked as everyone else.
I'm just hiding it better, yeah.
And then when it attacks the crazy lady, doesn't it? And then when it's going for the third victim, it's going for the one that's panicking the most.
Yeah.
And then it bites her, but then gets shot at a lot.
Right.
Can I just say, I still have no idea, like, about this movie. Like,
I think perhaps you should have watched it, to be honest.
You should have watched it.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, like, from all this description, I'm still like going, well, the thing that's going through my head is, I'm going to watch this as soon as I get home. Like,
You should.
Do it.
It's excellent.
It's a really good movie. So we kind of skipped over the fact they enter the shimmer, and when they enter the shimmer, they wake up the next...
Oh, yeah.
So there are lots of time skips. This film plays with time a lot.
So you get this impression that this is going to happen when she's talking to her husband initially, whereby the guy doesn't remember anything that happened. Yeah. He has like vague ideas, but doesn't really have any sense of time or memory.
Yeah.
So they play on that almost immediately when the main team enters the shimmer.
Right.
They wake up, they're setting up, they just like set up camp, and none of them remember like the last 3 days or how they got there. And it does a really good job of playing that effect from an audience perspective as well. Both in that scene and every scene that follows, you don't actually know how long it took them to get there.
There's the excellent bit later on where one of the main characters...
Well, I'm getting to this.
Go for it.
Just shut up.
All right.
So, fuck. So there's Ventress, right? Ventress is the one that's with her at this point. And,
Well, but it's 3 of them left. It's Ventress and Josie.
I think it cuts to a scene where she's talking to the guys in the lab, and she goes, "What happened to Ventress? I don't know." And there's a scene where she's with Ventress, and in the following scene, she's like going up to the lighthouse, and Ventress just isn't there anymore, and there's like no explanation to this whatsoever. There's there's no scene where they like separate. There's no scene where she says she has to go off and do something else. The next scene, she just isn't there anymore.
Yeah.
And
So there's no use of like cinematic irony or something like where the audience knows something that the characters
no.
don't.
It's like
You
it's
always
very
know.
much from the character's perspective, which is great.
You're basically always following Natalie Portman's character, and a way I would like to say it is that you're following her brain.
Yeah.
You're following her brain retelling the story. So when they flash back to, like when she's flashing back, that's her remembering things as she's telling the story.
Yeah.
Right.
So we're basically following her brain as she's talking to Benedict Wong about what's going on. So that's
probably why it's a bit more disjointed as well.
well, it's
Yeah, no, definitely not. I mean, that
Disjointed is exactly the right word.
Exactly. It's kind of refreshing to get something like that when they've created this concept like the prism, where it disjoints memory and everything else, and they tell that from a character perspective compared to a lot of other movies which try and do that as well, but it's always on, like, drug abuse or insanity. You want something like Requiem for a Dream where it tells things from like a drug user's
Yeah, just
perspective.
say that I love the fact that we have a film with an alien environment that is actually an alien environment, as opposed to just a bunch of people with plasticine foreheads. I love it whenever something like that happens.
the bear. Even when they use CGI, there's a practical bear that they use in that scene where it's stalking them, and it's like.
Oh man, the special effects in that were great. They were great.
I'd love to see it on the big screen.
Lots of great practical effects, actually, like when they find the thing dashed against the wall of the fort
yeah.
and all that.
When you say practical bear, do you mean like an actual living bear?
No, it's probably a man in a suit, or 2 men in a suit, or maybe a robot.
2 men in a suit, so it's like a horse. like a pantomime horse
bear.
walking around.
Maybe it's a robot horse. I don't know what I'm talking about. I wasn't on the set.
Honestly, it might have been just as scary if they just had like a complete unironic pantomime horse attacking them.
That would have been terrifying. Do you imagine? My God.
I'd love that.
That's the sort of thing we'd make, though, let's be honest.
Mate.
So,
They have a theme of people going in that are depressed and not wanting to live, and the giant pantomime horse comes in. It's like, oh, why the long face?
so the interesting thing that I didn't quite realise on the first run was Josie, the physicist. She's like starting to get like bits of leaf and tree and stuff in her arm later on, and she kind of just willingly becomes part of the Shimmer. She just walks off to just be consumed by it.
Yeah, they find a whole bunch of like tree people. I guess there's
People who've become plants.
Wait.
Or is it plants that become people?
No, it's because
that's what's implied.
It's because the plants now have like the genome memory of people who have entered the Shimmer.
kind of
So
represented in the
they
flowers
start
that grow.
building like man-shaped
In
forms.
that nearby town when the meteorite hit the
Yeah.
house.
So you're telling me that if I went into the Shimmer, I could become a tree ant?
Yep,
Yeah, but not a living
pretty
one.
much.
Oh.
I don't know. They might. I don't know.
They're not.
Well,
just-
depends on you.
Like there's the bit
Depends
where
on
they
your definition
open
of living.
they
Yeah,
open
it's
the
not that long.
alligator's mouth and it has like the flower patterns on the inside
Yeah.
because it's all the same like
some
DNA.
really cool stuff, like when you look at your hand, you can see your fingerprints move, which is an effect we lost because we saw it on the small screen.
Well,
Oh, is that actually something that happened?
Yeah, so you know when she looks at her hand and she's looking at her fingerprints, and all we saw was a hand, but because we didn't get the high quality, we didn't see the fact that her hand, like the fingerprints were moving.
That's fine. She actually tells the camera that
Yeah, that's conveyed.
But like, because when they mess around, they get attacked by an alligator at one point, but no one dies, and then they kind of, after a bit of wandering about and talking to each other, they find the old station, and in the old station they find supplies and equipment from the last team who went in, and they find footage of Oscar Isaac's character
right.
and his team, and they cut someone's stomach open.
Ooh.
And
Yeah.
their intestines are moving around.
Snake is that?
It looks like eels. It's great.
Yeah, basically everybody's like genomes have been scrambled, so they're all just like mutated and doing weird things.
And then they find the guy in like this empty pool,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and his legs are there, and they've got this giant like growth spreading out across the entire.
Reminded me
wall
of
thing, like, his head just
System
sticking-
Shock. It was very System Shock.
Yeah.
It reminded me of something that's not related. It's kind of like this, there's a killer from Psychopaths who turns their victims into art pieces.
Yes.
But
Or,
like,
Dead Space.
Even more beautiful.
Okay.
Yeah.
The way you described that, then you got very much intently looked at me as even more beautiful. I feel like I might be killed in turning.
Yeah, that's all I got. Do you want to become art, Jacob?
I already am.
I mean, yeah. So
basically, we have a lot of very atmospheric scenes, and it's just them going deeper into the shimmer, and they're sort of picked off, or not necessarily all picked off, but some of them are.
one of them's picked off during the time they're in this camp.
Yeah.
The bear comes and he just goes. Is that? But
Oh, that was like out of nowhere.
Yeah, really clever though, but it's not a jump scare. The way it's edited doesn't make it you jump.
Yeah.
No, yeah.
It just
I like that.
yeah.
I was.
The movie has moments where you think, oh,
Doesn't have
this
that
is a jump
violin
scare.
play when it's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Wait for the dramatic sting.
Yeah, it was super
Sound
atmospheric.
scene.
Like all the scenes with the watchtower were really scary just by atmosphere, just because you're like, oh my god, it would be horrible to be in this situation.
You know the scenes in The Thing where it's just people talking about the thing and the dread that it builds up.
Yeah.
This is
And the
an
fact
entire
that-
movie of that.
And the fact you probably know that one of the people having this conversation about the thing is probably the thing.
Yeah, it's kind of like this slowly building dread throughout the whole movie. And you're like, I feel really uncomfortable. I like it.
It was a very
I love
uncomfortable movie.
atmospheric horror. Atmospheric horror is my favourite sort of use of horror. 'Cause
You'd probably like it then.
I hate jump scare.
It's just cheap.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
cheap. It's not. But like atmospheric horror, where it's like, you know that there's something there that's not quite right, but they never explicitly. You know, it's just always inferred, and you feel it rather than they show it you.
Yeah. I mean, because this footage of Oscar Isaac's character is what starts the major conflict really. Is when the paramedic lady starts going mental. She's at some point sees the necklace that Natalie Portman's character is wearing, and it's Oscar Isaac. So she knocks him out, knocks everyone out, and then ties them to chairs. And is like, "You knew this, didn't you? Like, we know that things here attack, but they also said that sometimes they turn on people."
They repeat that like 5 times in the movie. The whole briefing they got about how there's a 50% chance that it sends people mad and a 50% chance that it's just killed everyone and stuff.
And it does both.
I'm not sure where you'd get those percentile chances from, really. It's a bit
Never tell me the odds.
Yeah, and then she hears a thing from outside, which is like this voice of the person who's already died. And she's like, I knew you were lying, because there's a bit where Natalie Portman goes off looking for the body. And that's another moment where you think there could be a jump scare.
Yeah.
And the film just goes, no, she just finds the body and walks away.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, okay, thanks. That was good.
So this paramedic character is losing it a bit, and because Natalie Portman was the only person who saw the previous team member die, she's saying, oh, maybe they're not dead, maybe you're lying to us and all this, and she's kind of getting paranoid. And then we hear the voice of the character who is dead from outside.
It's like crying for help.
Yeah, and the paramedic goes out to investigate, and then quite nicely we don't actually follow her as she does that. We just stay in the room and sort of hear things happening, and then the paramedic gets wounded, and the bear from earlier comes in, and it's like assimilated the voice of the previous. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, fun.
So you know that really bad episode of Doctor Who with the angels?
You'll have to be more specific.
Do you mean the one
The
on
one with Amy Pond, the first
Yes.
two-parter, which I kind of like, but I understand why.
the one that ends with him shooting the ball? Yeah.
You know how the angels take out people's vocal cords to use? That's what the bear does.
Oh.
So you have this really horrifying scene of this big bear with like a skull. It's like a skull of a human.
It's kind of morphing.
Yeah. And it's kind of walking around screaming, "Help me!" It's like,
Yeah, that was very creepy
That's
stuff.
Very upsetting.
Do you know what? This all does sound like this would be like the perfect setting for like a horror game.
Yeah, it did remind me a lot of Stalker.
Yeah.
It was very Stalker. Yeah.
yeah. And so then, after this, the lady, the leader of Ventress is like, "I'm going to find out something in the lighthouse with or without you," because basically there's a bit of a fight. They kill the bear, and then but the paramedic lady gets killed.
Yeah.
So then it's just Natalie Portman and Tessa Thompson, and
There's the other woman as well.
yeah, Ventress is left. She leaves.
Yeah, but the scene where Ventress leaves and the scene where Tessa Thompson walks off are like immediately after each other.
Yeah, it's like
But
the
they are
following
two-
morning.
Yeah.
Following morning.
So Tessa Thompson.
She made like a tree.
And get out of here.
Thompson, she's kind of sitting there meditating. And the moment you see her meditating, you're like, okay, I know what's going to happen. She's a retreat
That's
person,
funny.
isn't she? Retreat person. But because her character, I think she she's suicidal because, or she, what was it? Oh, she cuts herself.
No.
Yeah.
It's
quite interesting because they established the fact that she always wears long sleeve clothing to hide the scarring, and then as the film goes along, and she just increasingly doesn't care anymore, so she just starts wearing short sleeve stuff.
Also, she messes around with her wrists a lot when she's nervous in the movie.
Yeah.
So you kind of get that. It's really, really cleverly done. So then in the end, you kind of see it's really twisted in the way you was mentioning the leaves going up her arm. They kind of go
with the
cuts, and it was almost like, is that growing out of her? Are those in the cuts? That's really like, I don't want to watch that. And then she kind of just turns a corner as Natalie Portman follows her, and then she's just gone.
Yeah. And then from that point on, it's an almost silent sequence with the lighthouse for like an hour, and it's mental. It's like crazy.
So there's a little bit of dialogue where we see she gets to the lighthouse, and in the lighthouse, I mean, outside the lighthouse, there's schools, isn't there? And there's skeletons.
Presumably that's a previous team.
Yeah, did it spell out a word? I can never read
Yeah, I wondered that too. It looked like it was trying to spell something out, but I couldn't for the life of me. There's like a very definite W there.
Well, there were 4 graves, and the previous team was 4 people. So all the previous teams have been 4 people, because the only reason there's 5 on this team is because Natalie Portman forces herself onto it.
And so she gets to the lighthouse, and this is all done silent. There's music in the background. Speaking of music, I'm really mixed on the music in this movie.
Oh,
I thought the music was
in this.
excellent.
But there's 2 tracks.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you have that great kind of folky track for the shimmer, and then you have that kind of wah thing when you get to the lighthouse.
Okay, Kallum. There's only 2 tracks. What is our favourite thing about Pacific Rim? The one song which they use in every single scene.
I know. Any movie's improved with that movie.
It's Raymond Dwadji, Pacific Rim, and you can tell because it sounds exactly like Driving with the Top Down from Iron Man. It's like exactly the same kind of track.
On the whole music thing, have you seen the total sidetrack? Have you seen the Fantastic Beasts trailer?
Oh, don't get me started.
The newest one.
Yeah, it's
I watched it.
Where the ending theme, where they try and do the Harry Potter theme, but like all nude up. It's literally just the Avengers theme.
Well, it does the exact same thing where it has this trailer of lots of clips, and then it kind of slowly goes in on the logo, and it has the music of the trailer transition into the traditional music of the franchise. Because I watched a video about how Avengers, no one can name any of the Marvel soundtracks or any of the Marvel music. I'm like, no, I can. Like the Avengers theme.
Taking a stand from Winter Soldier. That's great.
I couldn't think of the Avengers theme right now if I had to.
AC/DC and Iron Man 2 is all over the place.
Yeah.
I mean, what they were trying to say is the original music score wasn't very good, but the Avengers theme's great. I like the Avengers
it is
theme.
great.
Yeah.
Alan Silvestri.
Yeah.
Great. Does a great job of it. It's just a shame the rest of his music's not good.
Back to the topic.
But back on Annihilation, I looked it up earlier because I was like, it's got to be more than 2 tracks. It's 32 tracks, but they're basically all just bits of the same 2 tracks. So you got, as you said, the folk music and then the weird alien music.
I really like the way they use the folk music in that movie.
Yeah.
I like the way they establish it in like a more comfortable scenario at the beginning, and then they use it interchangeably throughout as everything gets a bit weirder.
Yeah.
It conveys different feelings.
Yeah. So she gets into this lighthouse, and there's kind of like there's a hole in the floor that's going to go into like this dark, weird thing, and then there's
Well, presumably that's the impact point of the meteor.
and there's a hole in the roof which is used to lens flare.
Yeah.
How big is this meteor we're on about?
By the
You
time
don't
it's
really
got this far, it's
see-
tiny.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, you see the hole which it goes through the lighthouse in. It's like
But then
that
the
big.
inside of
Half a
it
metre
itself is
long.
actually bigger than what the hole is. 'Cause,
So it's grown or something?
Well, it's
Something
probably
like that.
yeah, or it's just a blast or whatever. I don't know.
yeah.
Is it anything like the asteroid from Evolution?
Think Xenomorph sort of area from
Am I
like
the only one
Alien.
who's seen the
Is Evolution the cartoon?
brilliant B-movie film Evolution?
Oh no, I've
It's
seen
all
that.
the space
Is that the
one.
one where they use Head and Shoulders
Yeah.
to beat the aliens?
What?
Yeah.
We need to show Evolution at some point. It's hilarious.
I'll put it on the list.
I think we need to stop determining what we watch at the Society based entirely on how terrible it is. I think we've got the wrong idea.
That's entirely how we should decide it.
So anyway, they go into this lighthouse, or she goes into this lighthouse, and it's all like sandblasted and everything.
Yeah.
And
There's a burnt corpse in the corner.
yeah, with a couple of kit bags and stuff.
And a camera.
And there's a camcorder on a
Plays the
tripod.
camera, and she sees her husband kill himself with a grenade, and it's like,
It's a
what?
phosphorus grenade.
Yeah, phosphorus grenade, and he's talking to someone. You're like, what's going on? And it's like you slowly start to figure out what's going on.
So I'm guessing the person he was talking to was him.
Yes, it's
Yeah,
alien.
because the shimmer refracts and copies everything, so he's been copied by the thing.
Yeah.
And then he's told his copy to go and find Natalie Portman, and then blew himself up.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing this is another one of the big talking parts. Oh, was he the copy, or did the copy? You know, like.
No.
Well, there's not really some big.
It's
That's one of the nice things about this. It's not like some big plot twist. It's not. A big,
Well, I've seen lots of people like, was Natalie Portman a clone at the end?
No.
Because they do a thing with her eyes at the end of the movie.
It's just
Oh, they
showing
do
that
that.
she's
And-
not the same as she was.
It wouldn't make any sense if she was a clone
She
because.
kills the clone.
there's really no reason to infer.
Well, first of all, she killed the clone, but you could have fancily edited that if you wanted it to be a thing. But also, she gives like a completely cogent and intellectually worded debriefing, which obviously Oscar Isaac was not at all capable of when he came back.
Because the interpretation you get is that Oscar Isaac didn't copy all of Oscar Isaac, but it tried to copy some of his memories, and the one thing that powered through was his love for Natalie Portman's character.
Oh.
That's what he means when the only thing he remembers is he sees a door and he sees her. It's him looking through his memories. It's the only thing that he remembers.
I quite like how, when we get the title card, the lighthouse, it doesn't cut to the lighthouse. The first thing we see after the title card is the memory of her house.
Yep.
So it's like, because it's the lighthouse, but it's the memories of Oscar Isaac and all that. It's cool.
Clever.
There's also some like really nice crystal trees outside.
Mm.
Oh, the final sequence of this movie after so basically she finds that Oscar Isaac is dead, and she's kind of like, oh, and then she hears Ventress down in the hole.
Oh yeah, Ventress, who up until this point we had no idea what happened to him, just sort of disappeared.
And then she climbs down into it, and then we see Ventress, and then she explodes into atoms.
Just like a.
No, as in like she like burns up.
It's like a
Think
Time
Doctor Who
Lord regeneration
regenerating,
thing,
yeah.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
You could easily edit it into that.
Yeah.
Someone will make that. I can't be bothered.
Just Jodie Whittaker.
Yeah.
And I really like the bit because it forms this like metallic humanoid thing, or rather, some blood from a wound that Natalie Portman's character has goes into the
It's really hard to describe.
thing
She kind of turns into this giant amorphous.
sphere.
Do you remember when they used to make video games on the PC, like when you had a CD?
Yes.
And there was that one company that had the like their intro in cinematic when you were loading up a game was like that magic gel that fell off a shelf onto a piece of paper. It was a weird jelly it was like a silver colour. And it had all the colours in it. And it moved around.
Soft.
Yeah, something like that. You know that?
Yeah.
That's what the alien was.
Okay.
Right, the alien, what it looked like. Have you ever seen a beholder from Dungeons and Dragons?
Yes.
It looked like a beholder from Dungeons and
Okay.
Dragons.
Didn't.
Yeah, it's a big sphere thing.
Well, in the fact that they're both spheres, the
Yeah.
beholder have like lots of like eyes
Kept
growing out of
moving
it.
about.
No, the beholder has one eye and then loads of little arms. Like those things from Doom. Those
Yeah,
floaty
yeah.
eyeball things from Doom. You know that?
It didn't look like that at all.
No.
No.
Well, it replaced the eyeball with a hole.
It looked like a sun
And-
in the middle, and then around was like this liquid metal, basically. And then.
But anyway,
Yeah, Natalie
yeah.
Portman stares into it, and then it starts drawing like her blood off a wound
Okay.
into it. And it's like, what's going on? And it creates like this humanoid figure, and she starts shooting at it.
Oh, and I really liked how it froze the bullets.
Well,
Like
what
she
it-
fires at it and all the
Oh,
bullets
it like
kill
goes
it.
out the
It
back,
didn't
yeah.
freeze the bullets. It took the bullets in, and it
Yeah.
just kept them in because it was just absorbing the bullets.
Yeah.
But it was just changing to the shape, which was nice.
Yeah.
It's like a modern art
And
piece.
then Natalie Portman tries to escape, and
There's a couple of fight scenes.
all silent, by the way. Venture says like a one or two.
The entire time, it's kind of like a silver version of Natalie Portman's character, sort of.
Yeah, and
The
it's
like
entire
a
time, it's like mirroring her
Terminator 2
actions.
style.
Yeah.
And it's not mirroring her perfectly.
Not
at the start.
perfectly.
It's
like attempting
slowly,
to.
It's
It's
slowly
learning.
copying her.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that as well. You can tell when she's like sidestepping whatever else.
Yeah.
It's moving the same direction, but doesn't step exactly the same way.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's like this subtle
And
attempts
I
to
can
mirror the
see
other
when
person.
Natalie Portman's backing back, and instead of it backing back, it backs forward. It goes forward into her.
Yeah.
And then Natalie Portman finds another phosphorus grenade, grabs the phosphorus grenade, hands it to the alien, pulls it, and runs.
Well, I watched a review where somebody had postulated that by touching it and it starting to mimic her, she'd transferred her own self-destructiveness to this thing, which is why it didn't try and run away.
The way I interpret
It's also why it sets everything on fire. After it's on fire, it goes around destroying the lighthouse.
It didn't know what a phosphorus grenade is.
Well, that's kind of the theme, right? Like, the entire time you're seeing this, and you're seeing all the effects of this asteroid, and seeing what the mirror thing's trying to do, there's no intent.
Yeah.
It's like a new baby just trying to figure out what the hell it is it needs to do and what it is it wants to do.
A baby has instincts. It didn't have any instincts.
Yeah.
It tried to garner instinct from the person it was copying.
Exactly.
The entire time,
So,
it's not
wait.
no maliciousness.
So it's trying to garner instincts from the people it's copying, and all we've done is send a load of depressed people in. We have fostered a very good emotional state for this alien being.
To be fair, if the prism or whatever it's called was ultimately going to annihilate all of humanity, sending in something that wanted to self-destruct and have that intent copied into it, not a bad way to go about solving your problems.
So we basically saved the day by giving the monster depression.
No, we destroyed the monster by sending the only person who actually wants to survive in.
Okay.
Because Natalie Portman, she's the one who wants to get out.
Yeah.
That's why she comes back, and that's what she says. The reason I came back is because I wanted to come back.
Yeah.
Unlike the others who didn't really didn't really care if he came back or not.
Yeah.
And so the way I interpreted it was that she gave the phosphorus grenade, and because the doesn't have consciousness, he didn't know what it was doing. So when it caught a light, it was like, oh, this is new. I wonder what it does. And it starts touching things, and it sets everything on fire. And it realises, oh, actually, I might be dying.
It's just having fun. Maybe it's just figures out Natalie Portman's
This phosphorus stuff is a blast.
secretly a pyromaniac.
Yeah.
And that destroys the lighthouse, which of course destroys the shimmer.
And
So
everything burns.
yeah. And then we cut back to the clone of Oscar Isaac, who is now in human hands in the research facility. Which leaves the film on an interesting question.
Does it establish that the scientists become aware of the fact that this copy of Oscar Isaac's is in fact a copy and not the original?
See, that's what I'm curious about as well.
And so
Because they never really established that she explains that to the scientists. Only that we know that she knows that.
Yeah.
So you're saying the shimmer gets destroyed, but he survives.
The clone of Oscar Isaac.
That's a good point.
The thing is, though, I mean, I don't mean to sound morally bankrupt or anything, because at the end of the film,
you are.
at the end of the film, it's like maybe this alien can now have like a new life or whatever, and I think we should just burn the alien. That's what we said. I mean,
That's the first thing I said.
Yeah, sure, maybe he could have a fulfilling existence or whatever, but if there's even a 1% chance that this guy is
There's
just...
even a 1% chance that he's our enemy, then we must take it as an absolute... Basically, what we're saying is Dan is Bruce Wayne from Batman v Superman.
This guy is the last vestige of planet cancer, and he needs to be gotten rid of immediately. I mean, it's like...
True.
Do you know who else was the last of their kind? Superman. And Bruce Wayne tried to kill him too. You are literally Batman v Superman. You know what would happen?
This is a weird comparison. I don't think it works.
You try and burn it would say a name, and it would be your mum's name. That's what would happen.
I'm so glad I haven't seen that film. It sounds terrible.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen it either.
No, you literally, the line you were saying, even if it's a 1%...
Yeah, I know that's in the trailer, yeah.
Oh, it is in the trailer. It's a quite entertaining line. Because I'm a romantic, I quite like the alien. The only thing that it knows is it knows of Natalie Portman, because that's the only strong emotion.
I mean, that's nice and everything, but from a purely realistic standpoint, it's like safe bet. Let's burn the alien, really.
Yeah, but like, I was like, the only thing it knows is it loves Natalie Portman. That'll get old fast.
Nah.
Because that's what it knows.
Yeah, but for Natalie Portman.
Oh, yeah. I think that's kind of the suggestion anyway. It suggests the ending's not a happy ending.
Well, Natalie Portman's all guffed up anyway as well.
It's like Ex Machina. It has the exact same ending as Ex Machina.
There's that entire scene where, like, it implies that cell division, every time they divide, it comes up with a whole new code and does something completely differently, which is where you get these, like, giant strings of plants with all these different flowers growing out of it, even though they all stem from the same branch.
Right.
Because they're dividing, and it's all different. And then they establish that happens for the actual characters as well. And there's even this scene where Natalie Portman gets a drop of her blood, puts it in a thing, and then looks at it through a microscope, and it divides, and the thing it divides into is a different cell. So this is something that is now affecting her. And
so what you're saying is we should burn her and the
I mean,
clone.
surely that's ended now the shimmer's destroyed, though.
Wow.
Why would you think that?
Well,
Yeah,
that's the suggestion with Oscar Isaac's. What was wrong with him was that he was outside the shimmer, and his organs were still trying to do the stuff that happens in the shimmer, but the shimmer wasn't supporting it.
Because he gets better as soon as the shimmer is destroyed.
But when the shimmer's destroyed, that thing that his organs are trying to do stopped happening. His organs stopped moving.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Which is
it's
why
like these beings which come out of it and get copied aren't necessarily related to the shimmer or like represent it. They're just being affected by it in the same way.
Yeah.
So after that source is removed, which it was, there's no reason to assume that.
So you're saying there could be some sort of weird alien hybrid animals crawling around outside of it now, if they were outside when the shimmer got destroyed.
Well, the suggestion is that things don't leave.
Yeah, but can you imagine just... That'd be a cool, like, follow-up.
There's these cool, like, reindeer goat things that have, like, cool flower head things.
You're that kind of person who wants to follow up to Ex Machina, where we find out...
No.
Lady.
No, I do not want to follow up to Ex Machina. Ex Machina had a perfect ending.
Yeah, it did.
It's the same for me. This is very similar to Ex Machina in a lot of ways.
You know what? It was very similar to Ex Machina. It felt like more art housey than Ex Machina was. Like they were given even more free reign and kind of let to their own devices.
Yeah, that's kind of why I'm inclined to think maybe it is alive because of Netflix.
Yeah.
This film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because...
Netflix as a format allows more stuff like this to come into the light in a bigger way.
It also allows companies to shell movies they don't want to sell in cinemas.
Yeah.
Well, whatever.
Cloverfield Lane, not Cloverfield Lane. What's the other one called?
The Cloverfield Project or
Yeah.
Do you know the weird thing about the Cloverfield films are? This is something I found out.
They're not very good.
No, none of the Cloverfield films, apart from the first one,
The first one's good.
started off as Cloverfield films.
Yeah.
They all had different names and slightly different plots before, and then either something happened in production or someone lost confidence in it.
God Particle was always meant to be a Cloverfield film. It just was called God Particle. No, if you look at the original script, it's always like the plot has barely changed.
Yeah.
It's always been about energy, parallel universes, universes crossing over, and a lot of people theorised, even before the film was announced as a Cloverfield movie, that it was a Cloverfield movie.
But and then they just stick a Cloverfield something on it.
But that's the thing, though. At this point, the Cloverfield brand is kind of like the Twilight Zone or something. You can just attach anything to it.
Bad. It's like the Twilight Zone.
I've still not seen either of the. I've not seen 12 Cloverfield Lane or
12 Cloverfield Lane's really good.
Or the Cloverfield Paradox.
12 Cloverfield Lane is really good. People don't like the ending. The ending's fine.
I have zero interest in any of the Cloverfield movies. I watched the first one.
The first one's good.
I like the first one.
Was it? I don't remember. It's the movie when it shot the guy's camera's perspective, right?
But I don't like found footage monster movies.
See,
Yeah, that is definitely what Cloverfield is.
Yeah.
I like it in Cloverfield because I just really like the idea of a monster movie that doesn't follow. So that's why I like Shin Godzilla. Because it's a monster movie that doesn't really follow the monster to it doesn't. I like the idea of following the little guy that's just running around helpless in this big monster thing, not the heroes running around in jets and all that stuff.
I mean, giant monster movies are really one step away from disaster movies, really, aren't they?
Yeah,
Let's be real here.
No, let's not be real here, and let's talk about how kaiju movies are really good political commentary over Japan. Like, Shin Godzilla is one of the best political commentary movies you'll ever watch.
I'm not very in touch with the political situation in Japan.
I mean, Shin Godzilla is damn good.
Yeah, Shin Godzilla is like an amazing deconstruction of the Japanese political system.
Although it should have been, weird googly eye Godzilla the entire way through, because that was hilarious.
Yeah, it actively comments on the political landscape of Japan when it was made, people who previously led the country, the way that the government works, and the way that the whole thing is run. The whole movie is about the cover-up of the tsunami and the nuclear power plant and the failure to look after Japan. The movie's a commentary on that. So is the original Godzilla. The original Godzilla is a commentary on Japan being nuked by America.
Is that generally accepted?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
This is genuinely accepted fact.
Yeah, and it's funny to look at the cultural differences in the portrayal of radiation in American media and Japanese media. Because in American media, radiation superpowers. In Japanese media, radiation monsters.
And because a lot of horror movies, much like if you look at Annihilation as a horror movie, they're all just allegories for other things. Invasion of Body Snatchers is an allegory for communism, or at least the American ideas of communism. That's why Godzilla is an allegory for nuclear weapons. The It's really
It
obvious.
doesn't necessarily make them good.
Shin Godzilla's an amazing movie.
I haven't seen Shin Godzilla.
Shin Godzilla is actually damn good.
The original Godzilla's great as well, actually.
Yeah.
The original Godzilla's really good.
We don't talk about.
I have an endurance limit on people in suits kicking over cardboard skyscrapers.
So, okay, here's a counter-argument to that. Just because something is getting a bit off topic here, but just because something is a parallel to a political situation in a country like Japan, and they use kaiju movies to represent that, doesn't necessarily make it good. The counter-argument to that, the parallel being, if you look at a disaster movie, I'm going to use that analogy again, you see a lot of films like, let's say, 2012. You could argue that a lot of disaster movies are a parallel to the state of climate change and like what we're doing to like prevent that.
That's exactly
It doesn't make those movies good.
Right.
Yeah, no, but Shin Godzilla is good.
Yeah, but what I was trying to say...
I mean,
2012 is a bad film.
it's a terrible movie. It's the
what I was trying to say
worst.
was, you were just throwing it like, oh, it's a dumb movie because it's about Godzilla. And I'm like, no, this movie's literally anything
Really clever.
but about the Godzilla. The movie's excellent. The
I
direction, the acting in that movie.
Chair cam.
It's all great. The only bad thing about it is the American.
Yeah.
Because basically they meet a character and she's a Japanese American, and is he cut off the top? He stopped us.
No, I think he was telling me to move.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, we've gone
Way off topic.
Yeah.
But if the Temple Institute's watching, you'll be happy that we talked about Godzilla for 20 minutes.
Anyway,
you want to talk about Godzilla? Hit me up on Twitter.
So-
you know who I am.
Let's wrap up on Annihilation. So,
Yeah.
final thoughts.
I thought it was fantastic.
Yeah,
Best film I've seen in a while.
it's very good. It's actually very refreshing to see something like that come out with such a high production values, and like not just from an idea perspective, visually and special effects wise.
It's the kind of thing that doesn't normally hit the AAA arena, and I'm glad that it did.
I'll give it a 9 out of 10.
Are we giving ratings?
I will
I'm
rate
afraid
it.
not.
I'm not a huge fan of ratings like that.
I think ratings
I'll
are
give it
good.
a Shin Godzilla out of 10.
Well, no, it's a 9 out of 10. It would be better without Natalie Portman.
It's a solid 5 out of 7.
No, Natalie Portman did a great
disagree
job.
with you about that.
Natalie Portman did a great job in that movie.
I see where you're coming from with big names like that often being distracting. and you see their
It's
tropes
nothing
and
about her big
everything,
name.
but-
It's just there's a few scenes and a few lines that she just fails to deliver right. And it's like, I get what you're going for, but you
At
failed
least she's
this
not as
line.
bad as Kristen Stewart, though.
No. Like, it's still a 9 out of 10. She hasn't ruined the film
Yeah.
to the point of I hate it. It's just like, she could have done a little bit better.
Yeah.
A little bit better direction, you'll be fine.
I don't think I had any issue with Natalie Portman's performance, really.
Anyway, whatever. I hope to see more stuff like that come out.
Yeah.
Even if it is just straight to Netflix. And if Netflix is a platform that allows more stuff like that to come out, then more
power to
it.
it, yep.
frankly.
I agree, but if that's what Netflix actually do, then I'll be surprised.
If you've seen Ex Machina and you like Ex Machina,
Egg Machina?
Egg Machina.
Egg Machina coming to cinemas soon.
show about
world.
breakfast gone wrong.
In a world where chefs are constantly experimenting for the next new food, we have Egg Machina.
If you like Ex Machina, you'll like this. Shut up.
A self-aware egg escapes from the lab and convinces the
Wow, we're really going all the way on this.
convinces the sous chef that it's in love with it. And
The
uses
shoe
it as-
chef?
Yeah, the sous chef.
You said shoe chef.
Whatever.
We're so far
You
off the
said
mark.
something wrong. What an idiot.
Whatever. And,
Doing a Turing
and
test on an
escapes.
egg.
Yeah, it's a Turing test of an egg. Yeah.
It's an allegory for
If
Humpty
you're talking
Dumpty.
to an egg and you're not aware of the fact that it's an egg, then
No,
it passes.
it's an allegory for babies
Although-
in the womb.
Although, you know, Humpty Dumpty is
That's a
never
movie.
specifically
That's
stated to be
movie.
an egg in the nursery rhyme.
Yeah, it's
Oh, yeah.
an allegory for.
Wait, where did that
for
come from
evolution.
then?
I don't know.
What came first, the egg or the chicken, or the meal?
I mean, it'd be more, just from what you're talking about, it's more safe to assume that it's made out of clay or something, because who tries to put an egg back together? Who does that?
I don't know. Maybe they didn't.
We're so far off topic.
I'm sure we get someone more qualified than all the king's horses and all the king's men.
Horses don't have thumbs.
They're like,
I suspect this may require some editing.
No, this is...
Keep it in. Keep it in. Keep it all in.
let's finish this.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us on the as yet unnamed and poorly organised podcast that will.
Thing, talk
Thing,
show,
show.
majig.
Next time we'll do something else. If we do a
Are we
next
just
time.
going to do more things than we show the society? And
Are we just going to use this as like a platform, and each week we just have a different format?
every week
Oh,
we're going
we
to
just
try and
totally
figure
different
out what we're
format.
going to do.
Yeah.
We'll do planning at the end of every episode.
Live production meeting.
I think we should try the trivia contest next week.
Trivia
Take it
contest.
Or next time. whenever.
But in the short term, I think we should all just go to the pub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So thanks for joining us, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to go to the
Thanks for
pub.
watching, and
Yeah.
we're going to head to the pub.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.